Once again, welcome to the program. Let's begin with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russia says that it is investigating what could possibly be an attack on Kerch Bridge, that's in Crimean Bridge, linking Crimea to other parts of Ukraine. 2 people were killed and 1 person was wounded in that attack, which Russia initially blamed on Ukrainian special forces. 3 Ukrainian media outlets quoted unnamed sources as saying that Ukraine's domestic security agency and the Navy were behind Monday's incident on the Crimean Bridge and that they had used seaborne drones to perform that attack. Meanwhile, Russian government spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said that President Vladimir Putin has had briefed on the so-called terrorist attack on the Crimean Bridge overnight. Mr. Peskov, in a phone conversation, told journalists that the Russian president had given orders to organize the traffic on that Crimean direction and to provide help and assistance to people who are on that road. He says the president had also ordered repairs on the bridge to be organized on the Crimean region. He also put blame on Ukraine, saying that Russia would be working and would remain vigilant and focused to prevent the repetition of such tragedies. Russia has halted its participation in the landmark UN broker deal, which allowed Ukrainian grain to be exported through the Black Sea. This is coming just hours after Russia accused Ukraine of attacking the Crimean Bridge. The Kremlin said that halting the Black Sea grain deal, brokered by the United Nations and Turkey to combat global food crisis worsened by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, had nothing to do with that bridge attack. Once again, Kremlin government spokesperson Dmitry Peskov spoke to reporters saying that there is no connection between these events and that even before that attack on the bridge, Russia's position on the grain deal had been stated by President Vladimir Putin. He continued by saying the Black Sea Agreement ceased to be valid today, just as the president had said before, that the term comes to an end on July the 17th, and that the Black Sea arrangements concerning Russia had not been implemented so far, so its effect is terminated. He also said as soon as the Russian part of that deal is fulfilled, the Russian side will resume its fulfillment of the deal. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has expressed his disappointments with Russia's decision. He signaled that Russia's withdrawal from the Black Sea grain deal means a related pact between the UN and Moscow to help facilitate Russia's grain and fertilizer exports was also terminated.
I deeply regret the decision by the Russian Federation to terminate the implementation of the Black Sea Initiative, including the withdrawal of Russian security guarantees for navigation in the northwestern part of the Black Sea. This initiative has ensured the safe passage of over 32 million metric tons of food commodities from Ukrainian ports. And the World Food Programme has shipped more than 725,000 tons of support humanitarian operations, relieving hunger in some of the hardest hit corners of the world, including Afghanistan, the Horn of Africa, and Yemen. The Black Sea Initiative, together with the Memorandum of Understanding on facilitating exports of Russian food products and fertilizers, have been a lifeline for global food security and a beacon of hope in a troubled world. At a time when the production and availability of food is being disrupted by conflict, climate change, energy prices, and more, these agreements have helped to reduce food prices by over 23% since March last year. With the decision to terminate the Black Sea Initiative, the Russian Federation also terminated its commitment to, and I quote, facilitate the unimpeded export of food, sunflower oil, and fertilizers from Ukrainian-controlled Black Sea ports, end of quote, as expressed in paragraph 1 of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Russian Federation and the United Nations.
But earlier, the European Union's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, and the EU Council President Charles Michel had condemned Russia's recent announcement it was pulling out of the Black Sea grain deal. Both men expressed their opinion before going into a meeting of the EU.
I am so sorry to say that today Russia has refused to prolong this deal. And this is something very serious that will create a lot of troubles to many people around the world. We, from our side, we will do everything we can through our solidarity lanes in order to make available the Ukrainian grain for the people who eat from it. And I have to blame Russia for this decision, completely unjustified, weaponizing the hunger of the people.
This Black Sea grain deal, agreed under the auspices of Antonio Guterres, is very important, especially for the most vulnerable countries, because this agreement, together with the European solidarity lanes, it is helping to make sure that the most vulnerable countries have access to the grains and to the fertilizers they need for the people, for the population. And that's why we fully support all the efforts of Antonio Guterres to make sure that the continuity of this agreement will be guaranteed. First point, the support from the EU for Ukraine is very firm and very clear, and it will never change. It's one first element. Point two, I'm very pleased that the vast majority of the Latin American countries, they've voted in favor of the resolutions in the General Assembly which condemned Russia. This is a clear and a powerful signal. Even if this is not unanimity, this is a powerful signal. And we'll have the occasion today to address all the challenges, including this important challenge, which have a lot of effects for the rest of the world.
And staying with the story, head of research for agricultural commodities at Rabobank, Carlos Mera, says that he believes the suspension of the grain deal will hit poorer countries hardest. Speaking from London, Mera said the deal lapsing will drive up prices of wheat, of which Russia is the world's largest exporter, which will impact countries across Africa the most. Mera also says that Ukrainian farmers will be forced to find alternative and more expensive routes to try and export their grains.
Well, certainly from the Russian side, you could argue Russia will prevent some money going to Ukraine. Even though most of its surplus will flow by alternative routes, it will be inefficient, and Ukraine might find unable to sell 100% of its exportable surplus. And also because wheat prices are going up, Russia will benefit on that front as well. Russia is the largest exporter of wheat in the world. It exports more than 20% of global wheat exports. And this means that those countries that might find themselves unable to import from Ukraine, they will be more dependent on those Russian wheat exports. And normally the wheat from Ukraine goes to very poor countries like Northern African countries, Sub-Saharan African countries, Middle Eastern countries. So, those countries will really need to import more from Russia. They will need to import more wheat from Russia, but also at higher prices. I mean, we've seen market reaction between Friday and today's market reaction. Wheat prices have gone up by 10%. And corn prices were also affected. They're up by 5-6%. So prices will go up. That will mean more food insecurity at a time when, of course, countries, especially underdeveloped countries, are struggling with debt in many cases. So we will expect food security to become an even more pressing topic in the future.
Meanwhile, a Ukrainian search unit has exhumed remains in an eastern village of what they say was a Russian soldier killed in combat months ago. Platzdram is a search team that had worked with since the beginning of the war in eastern Ukraine, retrieving both civilian and military remains from the battlefield. The head of the search unit, Alexei Yukov, said that they had found 445th Russian soldier near Dolenia, which is one of the frontline areas until Ukraine regained parts of the Donetsk region in September last year. His team believes that the Russian army identification mark found together with the remains indicate the remains are likely to be those of a Russian soldier. Ukraine and Russia have held regular prisoner exchanges throughout the war, sometimes including swapping soldiers' remains for each other.